Year 5s, it is the wider curriculum. I hope you've been enjoying looking at space this week. I've seen some brilliant photos of us for the space race. I haven't got anything yet about making the Mars rover from Wednesday, but to be fair, I haven't been able to look at my emails yet. So hopefully you've been enjoying that. And today is quite an important one actually, because you know you've known about the SpaceX in the news, and that we've got a rocket was launched the other week, and it was big news. But why? This link here is a link to the highlight of the launch. It's a bit long, you don't have to watch all of it, but you know it shows the launch if you haven't looked at it. And I'm going to quickly explain why SpaceX is different to NASA and ESA, which is the European Space Agency. So, NASA is American, and obviously that one's European. Now, these are government funded, so we pay our taxes. Companies also donate money as well to the government to pay for these things. So, we'll use NASA, it's the most famous one. So NASA is an American government creation, it's created exactly for the space race. So government created it. They're like, right, we need a space agency where it's going to be government funded. We're going to use money and people's taxes, funding that we get from companies, and we're going to have a space agency that is run by government. Obviously the scientists make all the calls, but government oversees it, and government tells you, here's what we want to do. Can we do it? And it's the same with the European Space Agency. The European countries all come together and they work together. The SpaceX is a completely private company, which is why it's been such a special launch. It's the first one, it's the first private company that has been able to actually launch into space. So, and it's Elon Musk, so he's very famous. He owns Tesla, and he's a huge, very, very big scientist and understands a lot of different realms of science and space. So he's put his money in, his company's money in, and created SpaceX on their own. So they're not connected to any government. That could bring up some of its own negatives already. Surely there could be an element of danger in that. If you have been looking at the news closely with SpaceX, he's currently getting hundreds and hundreds of satellites to line up in the sky to improve our phone signals. The thing is, we're going to be able to start seeing those at night. Is anyone controlling him? Is anybody going to be able to say, actually, no, we don't want that? Well, as soon as you do things in space, it's really hard in terms of what you're allowed to do and what you're allowed not to do. Nobody owns space. And the other thing is, the flip side of that is that he was able to use NASA's facilities. So, and NASA can kind of work with SpaceX to do missions. So, there's some positives and negatives here. Some negatives, and you might want to think of some more, is that it's completely private. It's not government run. It's not run by a country, so he can make a lot of decisions, and nobody can really say do or don't do this. But it would save taxpayers quite a lot of money, because governments won't be paying for things. If NASA want to do something, they can. Well, I suppose they'll still pay for SpaceX's things, so it will be tax people's money. So have a little think. You might want to talk about this a little bit with parents at home. But the main thing to understand is that SpaceX is a private company. NASA and European Space Agency are government-funded agencies, so taxpayers' money, and it's funded by other people as well. So what could be good and bad about having a private space company? Okay, so have a look at the launch, and then have a little think about potential. There's no right and wrong answer here, but just potential good and bad things for having a privatised space company instead of it being a country or group of countries working together. Okay, and it's quite tricky, but raise the conversation at home. I think some of you have some really interesting conversations, and good luck with that. Yeah, feel free to send them in. Here's what I think to SpaceX, positives and negatives. Okay, and thank you, and have a lovely, lovely weekend.